Hey everyone, welcome back to our channel. And today, this is going to be the part 3 of Examiner's Report March June 2024, which is the latest Examiner report currently available on ACCA Global website. Fine. So, today, the focus would be on substantive procedure because in the last two part, in part number 1, we discussed about the your risk, and in part number 2, we discussed about your internal control. So I hope you have watched these two parts and then you are coming on to the third part, which is substantive procedure, and we will be covering the common mistakes which are highlighted by the examiner in detail. Now, when it comes to question number C, let's see how many marks and what are the requirements when it comes to question number 3. Now, just a minute. Okay. So this is going to be the 20 marks question. The question number 1 of section B would be of 30 marks. As we saw, section B question number 2 was of 20, and now the final question is of again 20 marks. In this particular question, it was Cookit Company, which owns 10 shops selling kitchen equipment. So this is the background that is given in the report where the examiner has told what the company was actually doing. Now, this 20 marks was divided into 4 parts. Guys, see, 4 parts. What were those 4 parts? First of all, substantive procedure, and last was auditor's report. Now, there is a misconception among students that auditor report will only come, will only come in question number 1 of section B along with the risk. Now, you can see that he has combined it with the substantive procedure. So, guys, auditor's report will come for 5 marker, but where you do not have any idea, so you have to be just prepared that yes, it will come, and what all things I need to know. We will be discussing each part in detail, but this discussion would be quite I would say not as long as your previous video. Why? Because if you see, all the requirements are kind of similar, where the substantive procedures are being asked, and there are few common mistakes that you do it in every part. So just focus that whenever this video is over, I'll not make the same mistake. That is the whole purpose of discussing the examiner's report. Okay. Now let's come to the requirement. We have been asked about the inventory, trade payables, redundancy provision, and finally the auditor's report. Each part is of 5 marks, making it total of 20 marks. Now, examiner has told us how to allocate the time. Now, if you have seen my reels and if you have seen my content, I keep on discussing the importance of 1.8 minutes per marks. See, I do not have, a calculative mind, and I calculated this. It came out of examiner's report. Fine. So you need to understand the importance of allocating your time in a proper manner. That is the only reason that students are able to complete and score good marks. If you are not able to do that, trust me, completing double A paper on timely basis will become difficult task for you. So make sure that, especially in these 7 to 8 days that you have in your hand, make sure you are allocating, you are just solving the question, keeping the stopwatch with you. Keep it 1 mark, 1.8 minute, 1 mark, 1.8 minute. Fine. So 1 to see, if I see these were of 15 marks, 15 marks into 1.8 per minute. So examiner has clearly told us that don't waste your time writing too many procedures. Don't waste your time thinking too much. You need to be very much concerned about your time allocation. I hope everybody just understood us. Now. Even when I was giving test, and I took the test series recently, and I recently saw that students got 0.0000 marks in many substantive procedure, because understanding marking scheme of substantive procedure is very easy. You get 1 mark for one valid procedure. Okay. Now, why did you not get that particular mark? Why you end up getting 0 marks? The reason is, too often candidates have rote learned a set of standard tests, and these are then produced for each requirement without consideration of their relevance to the scenario provided. Now, we have a habit that, we must have got beautiful notes from our tutors or from any source, but we'll just grab it, right? We'll just learn everything. We'll just try to remember each and every procedure. Ma'am, this is regarding PP, this is regarding the provision, this is regarding blah blah blah. No, you have learned it, okay, but you need to make sure that you apply your knowledge to the case. For example, the question was regarding the PP edition. The question was regarding the PP edition. Now, the examiner expects you to write the procedures regarding the editions only. Now, the moment you see PP, you just keep on writing the procedure. You are looking at the, I would say disposal, impairment. No, guys, no, it was not asked. The question was very simple. Even the scenario highlighted that there were purchase of new machine. So you will not talk about the disposal procedures. So that is where the examiner has clearly told us that if you are writing the rote learn procedures, trust me, they will give you 0 marks. Okay. Now, another important thing that has been highlighted by the examiner is their mark allocation. Look at this. Audit procedures must be sufficiently detailed. Yes, I have seen this as well as an outcome of the test series, that students are writing 4 words and they expect me to give 1 marks to them. No, guys, if your procedures are not sufficiently detailed, you will not be getting full marks. You will end up scoring half marks, and in double A paper, you need to understand the importance of half marks. If every time you end up losing half marks, you will go below 50. Fine. So understand. See, the examiner has given you one example. Half marks, review disclosure. So if you are writing a procedure, review disclosure, you will get only half marks. Now, what needs to be reviewed? Why are you reviewing it? You are reviewing that it is in accordance with accounting standards and relevant legislation. So this is where you'll get half marks, and this is where you'll get another half. So make sure that whenever you are mentioning a document, whenever you are mentioning any information, why are you looking at it? What are you looking at it? Your procedure should be complete. Those procedures should not be left in between and should not be vague. Fine. Now let's discuss question number 3, A, B, C, and D, because each had 5 markers. And let's come to A. What was the A? Describe substantive procedure the auditor should perform to obtain sufficient and appropriate audit evidence in relation to the valuation of inventory. Now, when I come to the valuation of inventory, tell me what are the 3 things that you will notice in this particular question. First of all is the inventory. That is the first thing that you have to notice. In case the procedures are not related to inventory, you will be getting 0 marks. The second thing that you have to notice is valuation. So there are 2 kinds of question in substantive procedure. Either your assertion is given directly to you, or it is not given. If it is not given, it is a playground for you. You can write any substantive procedure related to the case. But if an assertion is given to you, any procedure that you write, if it does not test that particular assertion, you will get 0 marks. You will get 0 marks. Okay. And finally, only and only 5 procedure. Guys, do you see this substantive and 5 marker? So this is where you need to pay attention. This is where you need to read the question properly. And trust me, in exam pressure, it is very much possible that you do not read the assertion because everything is so tensed up. So make sure that you calm yourself down and you read the question completely. Now, what was the scenario? We'll just read it so that we understand the mistakes that are being highlighted by the examiner. Okay. The scenario for this requirement detailed that a range of cookery products endorsed by a celebrity chef, this had suffered a reduction in demand, and therefore Cricket Company has stopped purchasing these products 2 months before the year end. The year end inventory included this much of these products lines. So basically what is happening, that you have endorsed it and you have suffered a reduction in demand, and this was the year end inventory which had the your balance on the product lines. Now what is important thing that has been highlighted by the examiner? Guys, did you see anywhere the talk about the WIP? Anywhere do you think examiner has discussed the I would say work in progress? No, no. So any procedure that you write for the work in progress, you will not get any marks. You will not get any marks. Okay, it is important to have noted that inventory was all finished goods which are not manufactured by the company. It is important. Okay, so this is repeated. That's it. You need to notice that all these things were finished good. There was no WIP. So in case you are writing any substantive procedure relating to WIP, considering that it is a part of the valuation of inventory, you will not get any marks. Okay. Now, few other points, no marks for the standard costs and WIP, as the question was regarding the finished products. Confirm inventory is valued at the NRV of cost or now if you write such vague procedure that confirm inventory is valued at lower of cost or NRV, or you simply write carry out NRV testing, you will not get any marks. You will get 0 marks. Can somebody tell me why? In the comment section, can somebody tell me why will they get 0 marks? Ma'am, inventory valuation, I have written the procedure relating to the valuation. I have written the procedure relating to the inventory. Both the things that you mentioned. Then why will I not get marks? Because you did not answer me. How will you do it? Now, if you said that you will be confirming the value of inventory if it is lower of cost or NRV. How? How will you do it? Now, you said carry out NRV test. How will you carry out? So, if your procedures are not detailed and they are leaving questions in the mind of examiner as to why did you do it, how did you do it, please consider it to be a 0 mark. Okay. Now, analytical procedure review of GP margin. Guys, if you are writing GP margin analysis, that perform analytical procedures and compare the GP margin, you will get again 0 marks. Why? Because GP margin is not related to the valuation of inventory. Okay. So please ensure that you will not get any marks. Why? Because this margin is not closely related to the inventory valuation. So I hope everybody understood these 3 points. So you need to understand where the case is. Is it talking about work in progress? Is it talking about finished product? Is it talking about the raw material? And when I'm writing the procedure, I need to make sure I write only that is related to inventory. And finally, if I'm writing vague procedures, leaving the question in examiner's mind as to why I did it and how I did it, then I will not be getting any marks. As simple as that. Fine. Now, ma'am, you have told us that this should not be written, this should not be written. Then what should be exactly written? Examiner has told us that as well. Now, as the requirement was for the valuation, the procedure need to focus on the confirming cost and NRV and considering any write down or allowances required, because everything will tell me, you know what, the valuation. So what the procedure you should have written, agree the cost to the recent purchase. Now, guys, understand the flow. I know it has cost, I know it has NRV, right? Then I can talk about the total inventory. So first procedure is for the cost. Cost. Agree the cost to what? Recent purchase invoices. Then you will mention why to confirm the cost of the inventory. Fine. Then we come to the NRV. Then we come to the NRV. Now, how did you confirm the NRV? By reviewing a sample of post-year end invoices to assess if NRV is above the cost. So do you see to assess? I did not simply write that review the sample of postage and invoices. No, I said why am I doing it? To assess if NRV is above the cost. Now coming on to the total inventory. Review the agent inventory report for slow moving and discuss with the management if an allowance is required. So you will get 1 marks. Guys, do you notice one thing in the answer? That I am telling what exactly I am doing and how am I doing and why am I doing. Every answer is complete in each and every procedure that they have mentioned. Then inventory holding period. This is very, very, very important learning. 90% of students don't mention this. Investigate any significant difference. If you are performing any analytical procedure and you are not discussing it with the management, trust me, that procedure is useless. Why? Because analytical procedure definition includes finding significant fluctuation. Now, as an auditor, why are you doing it? So that you can find it and you can investigate or discuss with the management. That makes it a complete procedure. Okay. I hope everybody understood it. Let me know if you have any doubts. I will solve it in the comment section. Now, what is the correct approach? The correct approach is that you move to cost, then you move to NRV, and then you assess the total. Okay, in total, you can find out the period, inventory holding period, and you can do the analytical procedure. Make sure analytical procedure relates to the valuation. Okay, it should not be like GP margin that I discussed before. So that should be the correct approach. When this will approach come? When you are planning your answer well. Okay. Now coming on to the B part, guys, these were the common mistake that you do it. Otherwise it's okay. Now what was B part? B part again asked you about a specific assertion regarding the trade payables. Okay, so trade payables completeness and procedures. So what was the whole scenario if I talk about the scenario for this requirement detail that the accounts payable clerk left in January. Okay, so the clerk was leaving, there was no replacement, no supplier statement reconciliation has been done. The payable payment period and the total payables were provided for the current and the private, prior period. So basically, there were many issues. No reconciliation, no replacement. He has left, and you were provided with the data of period and the payables. Okay. Now, what was the correct answers? The correct answers was you can cast it and you can agree the balance to the FS. Then you can review after date cash payments and agree to the list of individual suppliers. Perform this because something that was not done, you did it and you investigated the reconciling items. And finally, when some data was given, you calculated, not inventory. Sorry, it is payable periods. Okay, it is payable period. Fine, you calculated, you compared it, and finally you investigated the difference and discussed it with the management. So these were the correct answer. The incorrect answers were requesting management written representation. Now, guys, if the area is not judgmental, then it does not have any management judgment and you are asking for the written representation, then this is going to be the incorrect evidence. Why? Because see, you need to see, is there any third party evidence? No. Can I do something about it? No. Do we have any other evidence? And then finally you ask for the written representation. Fine. Then additionally, some candidates focused on why the payable clerk had left. This is none of your duty. Okay, you are the auditor. You are not the management. You should not be concerned about why he left. Was there any replacement? No. You should be just focusing what are the procedures that I will perform now. And finally, some candidates had not read the scenario carefully. It clearly stated that trade payables confirmation would not be performed. So if you are suggesting that, you should perform circularization, then no, you will not be getting any marks. So it is very important for you to read the question very carefully. Again, it should be sufficiently detailed. If it is not detailed, you will not be getting half marks. Why do you get half marks? See, as I told you, if you are performing analytical procedures and you do not discuss it with the management or you do not investigate it, your half marks will be deducted. Why? Because the whole purpose of performing the analytical procedure was this only. Coming on to the C was very similar. C did not have any significant comments. So, substantive procedure, these were the common mistakes. Coming on to the auditor's report, how the most important thing that you need to understand is how this 5 marks will be distributed. Once you understand this, you need to have a checklist in your mind while you are answering in the final paper. Okay, this is the 5 requirements that ma'am told me. Did I write everything in my report, in my answer? If yes, okay. If no, what did I miss? That should be the approach for the 5 marker. So you understand the, because see, it is, I believe, 22nd August and you have exam on 2nd September. So I know your concepts will be clear, but the major thing where you will fall is the writing. Okay, what do I need to write? How much do I need to write? Is all requirements clear or not? So let's discuss the marking scheme. That is the most important in this particular question. So discussion of the issue, 1 mark. Materiality, guys, calculation of materiality plus assessment of materiality. How will you do it? Yes, it is material. Since it exceeded the threshold, it is material. So you have to mention the sentence, description of the type of modification, and finally the impact on auditor's report. So make sure whenever you are writing qualified opinion, you also mention except for the wordings. Okay, so this is it for third part, and all the very best for exam. I hope this particular video was helpful and we have covered the examiner's report in detail. Now you can focus on your mocks right now, and once again, all the best. Thank you so much for watching. Bye bye, take care.